Hurricane Ian has become a nightmare for the people of Florida, and there's no way that this catastrophe is going to stop anytime soon. Millions of people living in Florida and nearby areas are evacuating because the authorities know that it has all just started and the hurricane is going to get worse. So, make sure to keep watching this video as we'll let you know the worst case scenario of Hurricane Ian. The enormous hurricane in Florida was recently declared a Category 5 storm, which is the strongest category, and that's actually more than enough to describe how dangerous and life-threatening this hurricane is going to be. It is said to be the most dangerous storm that the US has experienced in several decades. The hurricane is still on its peak, and now things will start to look worse as the storm will surge and the water starts to reach the land. This will actually be very damaging as there are hundreds and thousands of houses across the Gulf of Mexico, and all of them are going to be destroyed with one swift invasion of water. The happening area of Fort Myers, that was always filled with tourists, would be submerged in water with storms surging as high as 18 feet. The winds carrying the storm are only going to get faster, but the storm itself is of a rather slow nature that might give some time to the authorities to prepare. However, this slow-moving storm is only going to increase the threat of extra rain in a lot of areas. Soon, some of the places in Florida will be experiencing a rain of 2 feet, which is the amount of rain most cities experience in 6 months. The rain will continue to fall in the same areas over and over again, and it will be harder to evacuate or do any kind of flood relief in these areas. Plus, the rain will be falling in a sideways direction, so it means water will be pouring down with a force of storm directly onto the buildings and people. It's definitely going to be disastrous for high-rise buildings and could also put the lives of a lot of people at risk. Eventually, the storm will destroy the power supply of cities, and the authorities won't be able to get it back for weeks. Water will be standing on roads, and there will be fallen trees and building wreckage everywhere. The rainstorms will also start affecting the supply of water and other necessary items, and residents won't be able to get their hands on the basic things. On the other hand, some people will start hoarding water bottles and other necessary things. It will result in a shortage of supplies, and soon people would be out of the most basic survival necessities. It is also being said by experts that the Gulf water is going to submerge all the barrier islands. So, all the buildings and important structures in those islands are going to be destroyed, and the people in the areas of this extreme surge might be in huge danger. The storm would cause a lot of deaths in the region, and that's the bitter reality that the authorities might not tell you. Almost all of Cape Coral would be underwater, and the areas around it will also be under the threat of a storm. The southern part of Florida would be under the influence of destructive winds and rain. The storm would also add a lot to the already recurring problem of rainfall in the region. The rain wouldn't be limited to just South Florida, as the northern part will also be highly affected with heavy rainfall. The threat of a flood would continue to haunt Florida and Carolina as the storm goes on its path. People would soon be out of clean drinking water, and they would have to make do with whatever's available. Those who would be unable to reach the safety camps or get help would fall sick and might even die if necessary steps aren't taken. All the flights are canceled in the region until the storm passes and the situation is back to normal. The authorities are begging people to leave their houses because this surely isn't the kind of storm that you should take lightly. If people stay in their houses, they might not get timely aid once the storm destroys everything around. The experts who are tracking this historical storm are saying that it could result in more than 12 inches of rain across Florida and 10 feet of storm, which is going to be disastrous. If we talk about Tampa Bay, the storm is going to be so high that it's going to go over the houses. And the buildings in the areas aren't strong enough to withstand a storm of this sort because Tampa Bay hasn't experienced a hurricane in 100 years. So the area is devastatingly going to be affected by the storm. Not only this, but the teams arranging rescue operations would also be under the threat as they'll be working under harsh conditions of storm and constant rain. Soon, we're going to see huge tornadoes in South and Central Florida, and those are going to be a huge concern. The power is going to be out for several weeks in most areas of Florida, and people will lose touch with the outside world. Even the areas that are safe from storms will be flooded with people and traffic as everyone will be running to save themselves. So, the Ian storm is not something you should be taking lightly, as in the worst case scenario, thousands of people might lose their lives. Do you think the storm will settle down in a couple of days, or will it continue on its path? Tell us in the comments section. Also, make sure you like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to get the latest updates. We'll see you in the next video, and until then, take care and be safe.